Welcome and thank you for watching. My name is Mucyo, and today I'm going to talk about how to excel in your career as a human services professional. Are your customers or clients driving you nuts to the point where you are questioning your career choice? Do you feel like your customers or clients are too demanding and less appreciative of your work? You ask them to do one thing, they do something else. You schedule them appointments and they do not show up. It seems like the more you try, the harder it gets. If in your job you deal with human beings daily, and the above scenarios describe your situation, I am happy to tell you that you are in the right place. This message is for you. Now you may be wondering, why is an interpreter talking about successful career in human services? Isn't his job to interpret or translate words? You are right. My job as an interpreter is to facilitate communication through translation and interpretation of words. However, facilitating communication is a broader concept, as there is more than just words to any communication between people. As a good interpreter, it is my duty to help communicating parties understand the non-verbal part of their communication. Without this understanding, the message being delivered and the one received, they're never the same. A discrepancy that can open door for misunderstandings, which in turn can lead to unnecessary conflicts and loss of business. Therefore, the other aspect of my job is to act as a cultural broker who helps remove language as well as cultural barriers to communication. I accomplish this by teaching communicating parties about each other. I talk about cultural aspects that differentiate each from the other. I cannot do this during an interpretation session, as it would disrupt the flow of the conversation. This is my channel where I can reach both parties and help them learn about each other, and hopefully be able to understand the unspoken words from the other party. Now, enough with the interpretation. Let's now jump into our topic. Did you know that every person who walks into your door has two fundamental needs, which are: 1. See me like a human being. In other words, treat me like I matter. 2. Please understand me. It does not matter if they are the CEO of a 100, 200, 300, 400, or 1,000 company, or a beggar on the street. They all need to feel valued and understood. The only difference is how they express their needs. Some are very demanding, outspoken in expressing those needs, while others are laid back about it. However, at the core, they all need the same thing. And in this presentation, we are going to focus on the second need, the need to be understood. Did you also know that most successful human interactions, whether it is negotiating with your kids to eat their food, or a hostage negotiation, or negotiating for a raise, are built on one fundamental element? It is the same element that is at the core of human services. In his book, Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss talks about establishing rapport and creating trust when negotiating. Mr. Voss is in many words telling us to value the perspective of the other side by showing them that we understand where they are coming from. Understanding someone does not mean that you agree or you accept their position or a view. You endorse it. No. It simply means that you see things from their perspective. Understanding people is very important, as it helps remove all communication barriers. It helps people lower their guards, whereby they can start opening up and share more sensitive information. Understanding people is the key element to a successful career in human services. If you don't have it already, set out to develop it because it is a priceless and timeless jewel. You can never go wrong with it. Understanding people, though, is not as easy as it sounds. And that is why we are talking about it. Understanding people is like when you are hungry and someone offers you a banana bunch. You cannot eat the whole bunch in one taking, as it is practically impossible for you to do. You need to bring that complexity to a more manageable level or manageable size. And where you peel the banana, you take one banana, you peel it, and then and only then can you enjoy your banana. Human behavior is like that. It takes time. It takes skill. It takes patience and intentionality. You have to want to understand. You have to seek to understand people. It's an effort on your part. So in order to understand people, you need to listen, use your ears. You need to observe, use your eyes. You need to analyze, you use your brain. You also use your heart to discern. That's a lot of effort. Is it worth it? Heck yeah. It's very important. Very important. Each step you take gets you closer to your goal. Understanding people gets even more complicated when dealing with people from a different culture. So, why is it difficult to understand people? Let's start by pointing out the challenges to understanding people. Many of our communication problems come from misunderstanding. And how is that so? It's because we make assumptions about people and situations. Those people are like this. In this situation, they will respond like this or like that. If you want to have peace with your people or the people you serve, never assume anything. Even in predictable situations, make room for the unexpected, because more often the unexpected happen. Approach people like artists approach a blank canvas. Why? Because with a blank canvas, the possibilities are unlimited. The artist can do whatever they want on that canvas. It's the same way with people. They can surprise you. They can do things that you never thought possible or you never thought they are capable of doing. So you need to stay open-minded when working with people and make room for that surprise element. The next limitation is that we judge people. How can you do that? Why on earth would someone in their right mind act like that? Did you even think before doing that? Don't judge anyone. Seek to understand instead. We judge people based on general information that may be erroneous or biased. Judgment comes from a position of superiority. I judge you because I think what you're doing is lower in quality, standard, fashion, etc. How can you eat that kind of food? How can you dress like that? How can you talk like that? You put yourself as a judge because you think that your way is the way. Understanding people, on the other hand, it comes from a place of humility. You put yourself in the other person's shoes, trying to understand why do they do things the way that they do. Why do they behave the way they behave? Why do they talk? Why do they walk the way that they walk? Putting yourself in someone else's shoes is risky business. What if their shoes smell? What if they are wet? What if they have holes in them? That's why it's important to try those shoes on so you can see things, so you can feel things just the way your counterpart feels them. Understanding people involves a certain level of vulnerability, as you cannot predict the outcome. I like what Brené Brown said about vulnerability. If we are going to find our way back to each other, vulnerability is going to be that path. Very well said. We need to try. We need to be willing to try even when that means being rejected or ignored. However, you cannot assume that the other side will reject or ignore you. The only way to find out is to try. When you try, you will make mistakes. However, it is the condition of your heart that counts. If your heart is right, the other side will feel it. They will work with you until you both get what you are looking for. The next limitation is that we do not have time. We are very short on time. We're checking our clock when we're talking with people. You may not be looking at your clock, but in your brain, you're looking at your clock. What time is it? How many more minutes do I have? That will hinder your effectiveness, will limit your ability to connect with people. Let me share with you a story of two African ladies that I had the pleasure of working with in the past. During our conversation, the topic of healthcare in the US came up. I asked them whether they were satisfied with the services they were receiving from their primary doctors. They did not hesitate. Both speaking at the same time said that doctors here in the United States do not know how to treat their patients. All they do is prescribe you medication, but do not allow you to tell them what is troubling you, what is ailing you. Can you imagine that doctors in the US do not know how to treat their patients? It's an oxymoron. The US has a world-class healthcare system. People from all over the world want to come to be treated here in our hospitals with our doctors. However, these African elderly ladies had a different take on the subject. Why? There is a cultural element here because Africans focus more on relationships and Americans, they focus on goals and getting things done. And when you put them together, there is a gap that needs to be filled. And in this situation, that gap wasn't filled. The African ladies felt like the doctors didn't have time, didn't make time for them. And the doctors were just doing what doctors do. You see a patient, you have a number of time and minutes that you need to follow. And if the conversation is not done within that time frame, you move on. In Africa, on the other hand, when you go to see your doctor, the doctor take their time to listen to you. The patient will start, oh, I have something here. They go down, oh, it goes all the way to my chest and my back. And during that time, the doctor is just listening and saying, oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh, I understand. And this is the element that the ladies were not getting. As I said, when you talk with someone with the clock in mind, that will not allow you to be fully present because you are stuck on a few keywords. When you hear them, you feel like you had a successful conversation. When not, you fill in the blanks because you need to move on to your next patient or to your next client. And that is a limitation. It will limit you from being able to connect with your patient, to connect with your clients on a deeper level. The next limitation is that we focus too much on self. What about me? What about me? I have needs too. As a human services professional, you cannot expect your clients to meet your needs, your physical, your spiritual, or your psychological, whatever it is. It is like having a doctor expect his or her patients treat him or her when sickness knocks on their door. Unless, of course, their patients are doctors themselves. You need to have a support system in place. Have people you can go to when you are sad, when you are depressed, when you are disappointed. When you are down, these people will help you up. When you do stupid things, these people can rebuke you. When you do noble things, these people will cheer you on. We must learn to manage our feelings and emotions. Our clients expect it from us. When we focus on ourselves too much, we lose the perspective. We forget who it is that we are supposed to serve. This will limit your ability to be fully present so you can serve your clients. We are like mechanics. Every time I go to a mechanic, my mechanic, to have my oil changed, my mechanic does more than just oil change. He checks other fluids in the car. He checks for air pressure. He checks for wheel alignment. And if my car is running low on any fluid, my mechanic will make sure to replenish it. He rotates my tires, even though I only went there just to get my oil changed. People come to us with different needs, but they express the most pressing one. We can help ease their suffering if we pay close attention to what they are communicating verbally and non-verbally. And this is why our field is called human services. We're providing services, but we're also kind of servicing the people, just like mechanics service cars. We need to do more than just changing the oil. We need to do more than just the need that's being expressed, that's being communicated, because there is more that's behind that we we may be able to solve. Maybe the person did not have a good night's sleep, or their parents and they're functioning on a 2-hour sleep because their kids was up all night, needed to be changed, or there's so many things going on. But when you are attentive, when you pay attention to the needs of your people, you'll be able to provide service, excellent service. You'll solve problems that were never communicated to you. And so you as a service provider, you need to find other ways to fill up your tank. Do not expect your clients to do that for you. However, if you do your job right, your clients will be watching and they will most likely mirror what you do. The oil change is a stated need. However, do not forget the other fluids. It could be encouragement. It could be just lending an ear. Or it could be providing a shoulder to cry on for a little bit. All these things are important in the maintenance of the human system. Now, it does not mean that you have to go out of your way and start doing laundry, people's laundry, or wash their cars, or buy them groceries, or take their kids to school. Only if your time allows it and you're okay with it, you can go ahead and do that. But in this situation, it's just doing simple things like paying attention, listening, or smiling, or greeting. And you do those things as if you are doing them to your best friend that you haven't seen in many years. When you do that, you will have an impact in people's lives. You'll make a difference in your clients' lives. Not only that, you will also impact your own life. Why and how? Because your stress level will go down and your satisfaction will multiply.